People ask us all the time, how can I profit from the foreclosure crisis in this country? And we tell them that our customers are making anywhere from 10% to 50 or 60% or more a year on the homes they buy from us. And I'm here to show you how they're doing it and let you know how you can do it as well. As an example of how our customers are making anywhere from 10% to 50 or 60% a year or more on their real estate investments, I'm going to take you through a typical example of one of our average rented homes. This one isn't anything special, it's just very typical of the average one. Our typical cash flowing rented property is sold for about $40,000. And it generally earns about $595 to $600 a month in cash flow. So let's look at what that means each year on your real estate investment. $595 a month is $7,140 over the course of the year that you'll collect in rent on one of our properties. You do have some expenses you need to take out. In this particular example, property taxes are about $210 a year. You're going to want to get some insurance on the property in case it burns down or something. It's about $300 a year. You're probably going to want to have a property management company manage it for you. We already have property management companies managing each of the rented properties we sell, so you can just continue to use the company that we've been using. They usually charge about 10% of rent, so in this case that'd be about $714. Once you've paid those expenses, that leaves you with just over $5,900 a year you're generating in cash flow, which on a $40,000 investment is 14.8% a year. That's an extraordinary return in this market. Is your bank paying you 15% a year on your money? Are you getting that in a CD? Is there anywhere else you're getting 15% a year on your money? That's the opportunity with one of these properties, is to earn 15% a year on your money. Now, people occasionally ask us, well, what about repairs for the property? Or what if there's a vacancy from time to time? Our properties have been freshly rehabbed, so it's rare that they need expenses in the first few months you own them. And almost always the tenants have been signed to a year-long lease, so vacancies are very rare. But to be very safe and conservative, we suggest customers budget in over the long haul about 20% of rent for repairs and vacancy. In this case, 20% of your annual rent's just over $1,400. So if you subtract that out of the $5,900 of cash flow you were getting, it leaves you with right around $4,500 a year you're generating on your $40,000 investment, which is about 11% a year annual return. Cash on cash return. Actual cash coming into your pocket off of your investment. That's an extraordinary return on your investment. However, we haven't even talked about other ways to earn a higher return. For example, it's quite likely that the property will appreciate over time. Over the last 100 years or so, the average piece of real estate in this country has appreciated about 5% a year. So we've assumed that in addition to the almost $4,500 of cash flow you're earning, we've assumed the property will appreciate at about 5% a year. There's no guarantees on that, but that's the long-term average in the United States. Well, 5% of $40,000 means your property goes up in value about $2,000 a year. That would mean you're now earning almost $6,500 a year total return on your $40,000 investment, which is a 16% a year return. That's an extraordinary return. Think for a moment about your retirement account. Maybe you have a 401k, an IRA, something like that. What's been the average return you've earned in that account the last year or 5 years or 10 years? Is it significantly less than 11% or 16%? For almost every American it is. This is an extraordinary time to be able to invest in real estate where prices of real estate have come down so low, but rents are still high enough that a landlord can earn an extraordinary return on a rented piece of property. So now that you see how it's easy to make 10 to 20% a year on one of our properties, I'm sure the question in your mind is, how are some of your customers making 50 or 60% a year on one of your properties? I'm glad you asked, and the answer is a lot of our customers decide that they want to use a mortgage to help buy the property. So imagine again our $40,000 property, but imagine now that you use a mortgage to purchase part of the property. With an investment property loan, you do have to put down a 25% down payment. So the most you'd be able to borrow is $30,000. Let's assume for a moment you do borrow $30,000 at 5% interest on a 30-year fixed mortgage. And let's take a look at how that changes the numbers on your investment. So you're still earning $7,140 a year in rent. You still have to pay property taxes, insurance, and you still have to pay the property management company. You also have to make your mortgage payment. Now the good news is the mortgage payment on a $30,000 loan at about 5% is right around $155 a month. It's hardly anything. Works out to be just over $1,900 a year. So after you've made your mortgage payment and covered all these other expenses, you've still got almost $4,000 a year left that is free cash flow into your pocket. Now keep in mind, you only invested $10,000 in the property because the other $30,000 you used to buy the property, you took back out in the mortgage. So you're making almost $4,000 a year cash on a $10,000 investment. That's a return of almost 40% a year. That's extraordinary. Now, of course, as we mentioned earlier, you may want to budget something for repairs and for vacancy, especially after the first year. If you budget 20% of rent, about $1,400, that leaves you with just over $2,500 a year of free cash flow after covering all your expenses related to the property. On a $10,000 investment, free cash flow of over $2,500 is a return on your money of over 25% a year. That's incredible. Think about that kind of return. Now, there are other advantages as well. Not only do you get the $2,500 of cash flow a year, but as we discussed, if the home appreciates at the average rate that all homes in the country have appreciated at the last 100 years, about 5% a year, it means the home's going to be going up in value about $2,000 a year. So that's some additional return on your $10,000 investment. Plus, part of your mortgage payment of $1,933 a year is paying down the principal on the loan. You pay down a little bit less principal in the early years, more interest, and in the later years you pay down a little bit more principal, because you're paying a little bit less interest. But on average, you pay down $1,000 of principal a year on this $30,000 mortgage. So not only are you getting the $2,500 a year in cash flow and hopefully $2,000 a year in appreciation on the property, you're also getting $1,000 a year on average of pay down on your mortgage. Add all those up, and your total return on your money is over $5,500 a year on a $10,000 investment, which is a return of over 55% a year. If you're looking for a place where you have a chance to make more than 50% a year on your money, you've found it with one of our rented cash flowing properties.